Hey guys, my name is Titan and welcome to this 15th episode of my Cities Skylines project, Vedastein, in which we still continue building a authentic and realistic small German town. Now this 15th episode is quite a bit different based on the other episodes I usually do. Because I'm sure most of you will know that, I usually do my episodes in a way that I have a time lapse in which I build the area for this episode and I comment on that. So I explain why I do things, I give some background information or whatever. But as this is episode 15, which to me seems like a number in which we can reflect on the things we already achieved, I'd like to do it a bit different. So this episode will be just a live play episode, and that has two reasons. Reason one is, as I said, I kind of want to reflect a bit on what we have achieved until now, and I finally, and I'm really glad to say so, I finally want to start building the old town. And what we're doing today with the old town is doing the base road layout. And during that, I can explain to you how the old town is laid out and why it is like that, and will give you some further information on old towns in general, if I can say so. And so I would... Whoa, no. Is that right? Doesn't seem right. Yes, that's right. Wow. So I'd like to start by giving just a short overview of what we have achieved until now. What we see here is, as of now, it's of course not finished, the town of Vedastein. The old town will be in this area here, featuring the lower old town with mostly medieval and Renaissance architecture in that area here, and the upper old town with Baroque buildings, a Baroque garden, and of course the big city castle over here. Although that castle won't be a Baroque castle, but a Renaissance castle, which I'm still working on. Then this area here, which is mostly finished, besides this area over here, this is the part that was built during times of industrialization, when the city grew beyond its medieval borders, and of course people had to live somewhere, so the city got extended. You can see that by the architecture, while we are going to have really old architecture with houses that are 200 to I guess 600 years old in the old town. Those buildings from mostly from Feindbild are so-called Gründerzeit-Häuser or Founders Age buildings, which is a kind of distinct German style of architecture, and they were built at around the turn of the century, so from the 1800s to the 1900s. So that was when all that has been built. That was or around at the same time the station has been built, that in the beginning connected the small duchy of Vedastein to the outer world, and I would assume today it connects this, just the town of Vedastein to the remaining country of Germany and Czechia. Now about the area of Vedastein, all that is based on a fictional Elbe Valley, which I call Veda Valley, and which is a region kind of between Germany and the Czech Republic. Now the whole region is on the one side formed by this big river, but also by a lot of smaller rivers and valleys, and I really want to include a lot of those small valleys into my build. We already did one of those in one of the last episodes, or the beginning of one of those small valleys, which I think turned out pretty well. And as this is a small town, it is surrounded by quite a good portion of rural area, which is actually not done yet. But we already built the first smaller village with also a small countryside castle. And yeah, I just noticed it. Sorry for the FPS in this episode, but on a Cities Skylines perspective, it actually is quite good. Because I'm sure most of you know that when you detail a city in Cities Skylines, FPS or the FPS usually is not that high. But I think it's enough for now. And now after this short reflection, I'd like to start, building the road layout for the old town. Of course, that may change a little bit when we really build the old town. But at least I'd like to give you some further information about how the old town is laid out and all that. Well, the centerpiece of basically every old town in the greater, let's say, German area, which is not only Germany but also Netherlands, Poland, Czech Republic. All those cities were built in the medieval ages by German law. Of course, not the German we know today, but the Holy Roman Empire German. And this is what is often referred to as a German-style city. And those usually have a market square. Or actually, most cities in Europe have a market square, which is usually in the center of the city. And whoops, the market square will be I want that street will be here. So I'm on the banks of this smaller river, and how I'm gonna do it, I think like that. And so this will be the middle square of the city, the market square. Of course, when we have the market square, we also need a market church. And this will be the market church from Paderborn. Yes. Then the next important building in the city is the town hall. And for the town hall, I'm using the town hall from Paderborn, which is a really nice looking Renaissance. That's it. Renaissance styled town hall. And for that, I'm following the same design maybe as in the real town of Paderborn, where the town hall is at the end of an, let's say, V-shaped square, so to say. No, I want no road bending, is it that? I think so. No, it's not. Yes, so the town hall will be on this square over here. And usually you can say the richer the city has been in its history, the more churches you will find, and the more bigger churches you will find. Now, Vedastein wasn't that important and rich in its history, but still it has more than one church over here. And the second church is the Cathedral of Vedastein, which is in real life is the cathedral of the small town of Ulsan. And I think a good point for that one might be around here, because I always want it to be that the overall look of the city is I don't know, it has to feel natural on one side, but it also has to look good. So if I'm guessing, the castle would be here, and then we would have these this other tower over here. I think that would work pretty well. Next thing that is worth mentioning is that usually old cities don't have just one main market square, or well, they have one main market square, but usually they don't have just one market square, but more than one, because we have the main square, so to say, but usually there also was the fish market or the wood market, the carpenter's market. What else could there be? The farmer's market, whatever. So usually more than one market in a city, and that is something I'd also like to do in this city. Now for one, or as one market, we need of course a fish market, because we are on a river and in a very in an area with a lot of smaller and bigger rivers. So fishing would be a thing quite common here, so a fish market would be natural, I guess, in this city. And fish stinks. It just is like that. Fish stinks when it's when it lays over a few hours. So the fish market usually wasn't in the center of the city, but a bit outside. And I'm thinking here next to the river would be a good spot for that. Then we have the farmers market, and as we here have a city gate, I think that also would be a good point for the farmers market. And let's do it like I don't want that. Let's do it something like that over here. Then we have the city wall, and usually there was a road that followed the direction of the city wall, because on the one side people had to come, or the guardsmen had to come on top of the city wall, so of course they needed access, but also it was good for defense purposes. So let's do it like that. But often also was the case that there were buildings directly next to the built on the with the city wall in their back, let's say it like that. And so that is also something we want. So here would be room for buildings that are built directly onto the city wall. Usually those buildings were for, let's say, poorer people and not for the really rich people. And the same over here. Now we go back to the city wall and drag the road. Yeah, that makes sense. And let's just finish the road layout. Now for medieval cities, you have two kinds of cities: planned cities and really just grown cities. Examples for planned cities are, for example, Pirna, which is a city Vedastein is based on, or Gül, it's also a city which this is based on. But I want a city that wasn't planned but just grew. So there wasn't a city board that said a street has to be there and there and there, but it just grew over the time. And by that you can see that the city is really old, which might not really fit the history, because as it's closer to Eastern Europe, most cities here were actually planned and not just grown. But I'm just ignoring that fact for now. So we think we can just place random roads everywhere. I guess that was too much of a bend here. Let's do it like that. Makes more sense. And around the church. Here maybe we again have a small square. then we have a road over here and here, and enough space for buildings in between. From the town hall it goes directly to the fish market, and do it like that. No, that's not good. That's not good. But we can do it like so, and that goes to the main square, but to the main market square. And here just, let's call it squares. And then we have the small river here, and for this river I imagine the look similar to, well, I don't know, I can't even explain it. I want buildings that are built directly next to the river, and I want a bridge that goes over this small river but has houses on top of it, kinda like the old London Bridge before the Great Fire, or kinda like the, kinda like the Krämerbrücke, the Merchants Bridge in Erfurt, another small, or relatively small German town. So that is what I want to have here, and that also gives a nice view with the Castle Mountain here in the background of the old town. What is that? Seems not just a bit, it's actually very high. So lower the whole thing over here. Da-da-da-dum. And I already said this is just the basis of the old town layout. Of course, when we really build the old town, it might be necessary to move a few roads to other places. So yeah, this is just the base layout. And continuing that, we go to that point, and the road didn't rise, great. And let's just drag random roads everywhere. To that point, yeah, why not? So here maybe a bigger area for houses, because I would imagine the rich people would have been near the town hall or near the market square, so the rich people would also have big yard. And just a recent addition to the town, the old town stop, of course with an access. And going on, of course the road over here, where houses are to the left as well as to the right. And here we need a bridge. And this footpath here would also connect to the old town. And then we go further into the valley here. Oh no, you don't rise, stay on the same level. Actually, I think it's already too high, but we'll see. And put it like that. And here again would be another small city gate, which would be maybe the miller's gate, as the historical mill would be here, or the shipper's gate as the main ship, or as the medieval harbor would have been here, because here was no place because of the city wall. That might make sense. And here we can just continue placing roads. This area over here, I imagine, would be one of the old cemeteries, maybe another one actually here, I don't know, we'll see. And where it fits to have a cemetery, because in medieval cities it wasn't that common to have cemeteries in the middle of the town. Usually they were a bit outside. So this would be the rough layout for the old town, or for the lower old town. And then over here we have the upper old town, and of course upper old town and lower old town had to be connected. So there is a street going up over here. No. better do it. Oh, come on. Yeah. Do it like so, because we have a nice ramp over here, and that would come out like that. Now, the lower Old Town might be grown over time and not really planned. The upper Old Town was planned, because when during Baroque times the Duke of Vedastein wanted a bit more representative city as its residence, he expanded his town by the upper Old Town, which is directly in front of the castle. So the castle would be, I'm guessing, this area here. So we have a straight street, nice, onto the castle, and another square here, typically for Baroque times, a pretty long square. And as this was indeed a planned city, we can allow it to have a grid pattern, which was actually a usual thing in Baroque times to have grid cities. It's not just an American thing. And now I really need to remove those trees. I actually only placed those trees here to have kind of a back scene for the cinematics of the last episode, but now they are too annoying. Not all of them, but this should be fine. Well, no. This road here has to be moved a bit upwards, so to say, because I want, on the opposite side of the big castle and the square, I want another somewhat representative Baroque building with a garden behind it. So this road has to go, the building would be maybe here, and then it goes back to its main course, and you go away. So that is what I had in mind for that area over here. And the connection. So what's missing? The so this is the medieval city wall, and when this upper Old Town was planned, another city wall was added that wasn't in this in this circle over here, but I suppose in that course, whatever, in that area here. But this new city wall was later removed to make place for the theater square and the city park, but the old one was kept. And so I think we can allow to ground level, do it like no, it has to be, it has to connect to that road here. Come on, and like that. So that should make sense. In the front of the castle there would be a trench. Let me just kind of simulate that trench. Was it too deep? I don't know. Let's say 8 meters. So here would be a trench, and if I did everything right, this trench should be at the same level as this part of the upper Old Town. What is that? 141 and well, 141. Well, yeah, should make sense. So we have the trench from medieval times, or the moat, and in Baroque times they added a Baroque garden in maybe this area over here on the same level as the moat. And so should fit like that. And on the... Actually, I'm guessing that was too big or too wide. Let's make it a bit thinner, maybe like that. But add a road over here. And I'm already building a lot of be it Renaissance or Baroque old town buildings that will be yeah, in that whole area over here. And also in the Baroque area we want the church, and this will be that one. A more, or well, a smaller church. I don't want a big Baroque church over here. A smaller one might fit better. Maybe like here actually. So it's on the end of the square, but we'll see where it fits best. And another building that I really want, did I download it? Yes, I did. Is the Johanneum from Dresden, or Johanneum, or still don't know how I would pronounce it in English, which might be somewhere over here, and kinda yeah, would form the other end of the Baroque garden. So here we have the castle, Baroque garden, and this building, which might be another or a more recent part of the castle, so a kind of an extension of the castle. We'll see what might fit as explanation. But well, that's it for this episode. I know it was a smaller episode. For some of you it might not have been the most interesting episode, because I didn't detail, I didn't, yeah, build a real area, but I really wanted this episode because it gives a yeah, a small, yeah, I wanted to give you this information about the old town, let's call it like that. So if you still liked this episode, I would like if you would like the video. If you have some more suggestions for the old town, feel free to comment. If you want to, if you don't want to miss how we are actually building the old town, feel free to subscribe to my channel. Also, if you want to support me, you can do so on Patreon, and by that you also will have access to early access videos and early access buildings, just for example. But of course you don't have to. That being said, thank you for watching. Seems that was a longer episode than I intended, but well, that's it. And we'll see you in the next episode when we actually start building the old town. Until then, have a nice time, take care of yourselves, and bye.